So I just want to bring up Jason Jeffrey here. Jason is one of the top reps in the nation. So if you don't know his name, I don't know where you've been because he is amazing. So I don't know if you guys know about the rep push that always happens in the spring. This guy basically wins it every single year. He's had pushes that are over 20K. He's had many pushes over even, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Many different pushes over 100K even too. So, he's had a lot of big pushes and yeah, he is a monster at selling knives. He's actually the first one to sell 370K in a year. So thanks for paving the way, Jason, for that. And then also he's been very consistent throughout his career. He's done 2K club, 3K club, 4K, 5K, 8K, and 10K club. And he's won 10 of the last 12 national pushes, last 7 consecutively, which is nuts. His biggest week is 45K. And, he's here to talk about upgrades, the upgrade program. I know many of us are working hard in the middle of our state fair season right now. So we're all working hard here. But yeah, upgrades are definitely important if you're talking to past customers. So he is actually the one that paved the way for this program. Nobody knew about ultimate upgrades until Jason actually started selling them and teaching other reps how to do it. And it's definitely a big reason why many of us are successful today. So other things that Jason does in his free time are he's done Ironmans, which is insane. That's 140.6 miles. He's done triathlons, ultra marathons, and he's sold over 1 million in the last 2 years. Has set up over 700 service calls in a year, which means, a lot of repetition in the upgrade, dynamic. And then also, has he's graduated from MSU and yeah, he's got a couple of kids too. So this guy's a busy guy, but he's amazing at selling ultimate upgrades. So Jason, go and take it away.
Yeah, four now in October. So that'll be 4, 5 and under kids.
Wow, you are a busy man.
Yeah, man. Definitely. So great to be here. Thanks for having me, everybody. I appreciate the ability to make an impact. It's one of my favorite things to do. If you know CVI scores, builder, merchant, innovator, banker, I'm an innovator, builder, pretty close, 22, 21 if you look at the exact numbers. So I like bringing wisdom to the room. I like sharing. I like it's one of the things I love the most is coaching and helping people out. So this is great for me, and hopefully it impacts you and your ability to change your mentality when it comes to past customers. And so when it comes to upgrades, just like I know some of you have done plenty of upgrades yourself. Some of you maybe are newer in the business and you're at 100K, 200K in career sales, or maybe you're at 100 or 200K a year in sales, or maybe you've breached the 300 or 400K in annual sales marker. So whoever you are, there's always a lot to learn from getting back to the basics, and there's always a lot to learn from like what is the 20% that makes the 80%. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that today when it comes to upgrades. And when it comes to like the concept of an upgrade, I think a lot of people think about it differently than maybe they could. I think that you've had an upgrade and you're like, all right, cool, now I know how to do an upgrade. Well, do you know how to upgrade 80% of people, or 80% of a certain type of client that comes up that has Cutco but's open to adding on more, and maybe you're not upgrading the client that wants to buy one knife, but maybe you convert all those people into 5 pieces and or builder upgrades, but instead of buying 2 or 3 and getting 1 for free. I'm not saying you can eliminate the 3-piece specials, you eliminate the 1-piece orders, but I think a lot of people on a lot of top CSPs across the country are still leaving a lot on the table when it comes to how many upgrades they actually get. It should be every weekend. It should be every show. It should be every service event. And because that's how it is for me, and that's how it always has been. And it's not because of my area. I've done it all over the country in different areas when I've come to help across the country other teams sell and do things, whether that's in Michigan, Maine, California, Florida, Texas, in Indiana, and so on, all over. So really, if that's you and you're in a position where you're like, well, I'm not getting upgrades every weekend, I'm not getting upgrades every service event, I've done an upgrade. Well, instead of thinking I've done an upgrade, I know how to do it, maybe try opening your mind here like a parachute a little bit today and think about what you can learn, and pay close attention, and write down notes and ask a question or two along the way. I'm not exactly sure how much time we have, but we'll make the most of whatever we do have. And then new up developments that have come in the last year and a half since I started selling fan sets and upgrading people to $6,000 knife sets, and that's really opened a spectrum of different upgrades in my business. And I've been teaching my mentees this as well, so you're welcome to learn from them also. But just, $3,000 upgrades, $4,000 upgrades. And it's kind of nice having that versus having an $1,800 upgrade and then selling a $2,000 cookware set and getting 1,200 CPO or whatever it is. Being able to get these orders even bigger, even be able to drop down to the upgrade from a higher number, so that the $1,800 upgrade is just doesn't even seem like much anymore. And it's just created a higher closing ratio of upgrades, closing ratio of builder upgrades. And it's really been a huge impact in my business. And I look back now and I'm thinking, man, I wouldn't even have to do a show for a couple of years. I could literally just go back to 10,000 customers and just go do service calls like I used to do back in the day. I did before there was even shows. I did service calls for 3 years, hit Hall of Fame on Pink Sheets, just calling through random people I'd never even met before. And sometimes I kind of miss it, but it's just crazy with the new programs and everything that's going on, just kind of shedding a little bit of light on the future and the vision, and hope you get excited, because their past customer business is a really powerful part of your business. And it's something that's basically free. You don't have to pay to get a show to go to a customer's house. And, the gas money is pretty minimal compared to your shift costs to do a show shift somewhere. And so you should be seeing all your past customers every single year. And it's something I did when I was in Michigan. I lived there in Grand Rapids before there were shows. I would call the Pink Sheets. Yeah. But then around Mayish, and whatever works for your business, whatever month might work to do this, I would just sit down and I would call all my customers, whether they bought an ice cream scoop or they bought whatever it was, it didn't really matter. And I would go to their house and I would sell thousands and thousands of dollars every single year. And it was just a really powerful way to create a ton of income with a warm customer base. I already knew who I was when they answered the phone. It was way easier to set these up versus Pink Sheets. And if you need an approach on that, I got the approach from Hallerod originally, and John Berghoff and Hallerod modified it over the years. And it's very simple and easy. And you'll set up like 80% of the people you talk to with your past clients. So, and when you go to their house and you're doing upgrades, or when you go to the show and you're doing upgrades, or when you are at a service when you're doing upgrades, let's talk a little bit about that. Okay. So the ABCs of ultimate upgrades. And at this point, I'm going to kind of leave the fan set for questions or for another talk, because I could literally talk about it for 2 hours, upgrading people to fan sets and things like that. And so ultimate upgrades, if you can get these every week on a consistent basis, then I think you're ready to start focusing on the fan set upgrade and upgrading people to a spectrum of, an ultimate on top of an ultimate, a signature on top of an ultimate, a homemaker on top of an ultimate. Like there's this whole new world out there. Ultimately, a lot of the company will probably be doing in the next 5 or 10 years or something like that. So the order of importance is the first thing that's important. Order of importance, not necessarily the exact same knife every single time. So jot down order of importance, because that's the first key concept. It's not the same exact knife, but it's more so the types of knives that you're covering and making sure that it's covered in the correct way every time. So I don't care if someone has 4 knives, 20 knives, they have an ultimate set. I am going to cover the same order, like of structure, if you could call it that. Not order of necessarily the exact same knives, but the same kind of structure and concept to get people to the openness of an ultimate upgrade. And some people come up to you, whether you go to their house or service event or show, and they're open. They're like, oh my gosh, Cutco, I love Cutco. What have you got that's new? And then some people come up and they'll be like, oh, what is the price of the shears? And then other people come up and they say, oh, I love my Cutco. Not interested in anything, but I love my Cutco. I just want to say I love my Cutco. And so really there's a few different types of people that are going to be coming up, right? And there's different things that they have and different People have different sets of knives and so on. What I'm trying to tell you is I don't care what it is. I'm going to do this structure because it's like a golf swing. If you don't play golf, it doesn't really matter. The point is, if you're sitting in, if you're sitting on a golf course, the distance, the weather, like it doesn't matter if there's water over here or over there, there's trees here or there. Like if you're just trying to hit the ball straight, it doesn't matter like what the temperature is that day or even the type of club you like, the not the type like a putter versus a driver, but like the type of driver you have. What matters is that you keep your elbow straight, that you line your shoulder up with where you want it to go, that you follow through correctly. And these are the things that you want to be doing with every single customer. And what I mean by that is going over a package to upgrade them, not to an ultimate set, but to upgrade them to a certain number of knives that come as a package, that come with a block or trays, has some steak knives, maybe an extra pair of shears. And your goal is to get them to this number of knives. You can quote the price, and then you can either drop down to the 5-piece at that point, which is way easier if you get to this point with every customer in the first place, or you could sell them a builder upgrade, or you sell them an upgrade, which doesn't happen every time, but it should be happening pretty consistently for you. So that's kind of what I mean by the order of importance. And so you want to, here's the order of importance. Okay. Start out with 2 knives that kind of make sense. Where typically if someone had if there was the perfect customer and they just had a homemaker set or less than that. And you're going to start out with a 4-inch paring knife and then go over the fact that it's longer than the smaller one. You're going to go to the mini chopper and say that's shorter than the bigger one, which makes a lot of sense. These are knives that make sense. So let's say they have those 2 knives. Well, go over the Santoku paring knife. Does it make sense that the paring knives are the first things to wear out in their entire set and that the paring knife is damaged as all heck every time you see them, you're sharpening their knives? Yeah, because the front of it is so vulnerable to getting damaged. And it makes sense that they made a Santoku paring knife where the front part does not get damaged. So the first piece or 2 you're going over, preferably 2, just need to be logical type pieces. They need to make sense. It needs to be something that's like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, and without getting into explaining 5 minutes behind the psychology of why that's important, I'm just telling you what works. Okay, take it for what it's worth and do it if you want to or not. Sometimes people need to be told why in order to do it. We don't have time to go into the why behind everything here when it comes to ultimate upgrades in one talk. So I'm just going to tell you what it is. And for those that listen, great. And we'll go from there. The second part of the order of importance is cutting a potato or cutting something. And people use potatoes, people don't. Like, do you need to have potato to sell ultimate upgrades? No. Do you need to have potato to sell normal sets? No. Is there any like negative to using a potato? Not really. It actually helps a ton. It helps a ton to show people. I'll tell you why behind this one, just so you know. Okay, people that have Cutco, how many times have you had them say to you like, oh, I already have Cutco. Why would I need more Cutco? Oh, I already have a set. Why do I need to set more Cutco? I already have a paring knife. I'm good to go. Or I have 3 Cutcos. They're awesome. I love them. I'm all set. Well, I have a full set. I have everything you make. Right. Okay. These people, if you don't convert their mindset to the fact that there are things out there that are different from what they have that cut better, they're not going to be open to spending money on buying something that's $1,000. It doesn't make any sense. So by physically showing them, hey, this is what your table knife cuts like, or your trimmer cuts like on the potato. Now feel this cheese knife or feel this Santoku cheese knife. And they see, oh my gosh, there is a difference. How much is this knife? That means that they're interested in something. So they shouldn't be saying how much it is, because you should immediately transition to the next one. So that you can continue to stay not on the individual items focus, but start to get into that set focus. And once the customer reaches the point, I'm continuing on with the why, just to help you out, I guess. Once the customer reaches the point that they're like, there's actually multiple things that I want. Once they are thinking there's multiple, oh, I kind of like that. I like that. I like that. Okay. And then now they don't know what they're going to do. And that's when you bring it all together at the end and you're like, so this is called an upgrade. And Cutco has actually created a program for this for clients who have Cutco already, but want to add on because they see the value of having pieces that help them to cut things the right way. Like a wrench, hammer, screwdriver in the garage, we all have different tools. why would we not have, like, you don't even use your hammer every month. Why would we not have a melon knife? Why would we not have a raw meat knife? It's just crazy that we don't have these things in our kitchen, and it's crazy for your clients not to have them. And when you assert that mentality yourself, it's going to help you with upgrades as well. So getting back to the approach here, so the point is, our goal is to get them to be wanting more than 1 or 2 or 3 items. And when we can get someone to 5 or 6 items that they want, then we're there. We're there at the place where we can show every single person the quoting the price of at least the ultimate upgrade. And for those of you that get good at it, more than that. So let's continue on here and get back to what we're talking about with the order of importance. So the 2 knives that make sense, cutting something so that we open their mind that knives do cut differently, and they also want that item. Immediately going into another knife, like the raw meats knife or the melon knife, showing the videos that I have on YouTube for those can really convert people's mindset, because I actually cut in the video, and you just want to skip to it. You don't want to watch the whole video, but I actually cut in the video with the raw meats knife, the bony knife. But first I cut with the trimmer, and it takes 31 strokes to actually cut through. And then the bony knife goes through in 2 strokes. So it's another way for people to see, wow, that's way different from what I have right now. Because I literally have the trimmer. I use it all the time on everything, but I do meat a lot, and I don't have that knife, and I should have that knife. These are thoughts that they should be having, subliminally at least. When you show that video, the melon knife, people don't believe you that the salmon knife cuts through melon. Show the video, it cuts through in literally a matter of seconds. And at that point, they should like at least 3 or 4 of those items that you went over. And then you cover your 2 favorite knives. And you could say, it could be whatever. It could be a bird speak, a hearty slicer, veggie knives, brisket knife. Just cover 2 knives with enthusiasm. Enthusiasm sells. Remember when people were new and they're selling the spatula spreader, and it's like their favorite item, and so they'd sell tons of spatula spreaders. I remember in new reps, and when I had my own office as a district manager, and I'd run it, and like reps would come in, they'd just come with all these spatula spreader orders because they were so excited because of what they had learned in training. And they were selling spatula spreaders not because it was the best knife, trimmer, petite carver. That would be significantly better if you only had to have 1 knife that Cutco could ever make. I mean, maybe you'd argue with that. I do have like 5 spatula spreaders in my fan set, which I never thought I'd use 5 spatula spreaders until I actually got the thing, which has helped me convert fan sets a lot. But they were selling it because they were enthusiastic about it. So if you end with 2 knives that you're enthusiastic with, you cut something in the middle, you maybe show a video proving that it cuts easy and better on the thing than what they have. And you start out with a couple things that make sense. You are going to land with a lot of people that are open to hearing what the cost of the upgrade is. Okay. Second thing, B, is your pace on upgrades. So how fast are you going? Are you going super fast? Are you going super slow? Are they nodding their head, or are they paying attention? Or are you covering it like it's your first time, explaining it to someone and like it's like really like a friend you're sharing it with? Or are you just going through the motions, moving quickly and just kind of doing your thing, and then just kind of like you do with everyone? Are you too quick for someone that's maybe older who needs a slower pace in order to understand what you're saying? Are you too slow for someone who's really sharp, who's got their mind on their agenda and wants to get through the event and see other things that are there? So you got to pay attention to your pace when you're covering this, because I'll tell you right now, if you're going too slow for someone that's fast paced, they're not even going to be listening to half of what you're saying, because they're picking up knives, looking at this, doing that. And it's funny because you're going slow, but they're not hearing you. They're not listening as much because they're distracted. So it's kind of weird, but you have to go faster so that they are just able to understand what you're saying, so that they're 100% focused on what you're saying. So it's funny because you're going faster, but they're hearing everything better. And then if you're going too fast for someone that can't understand you, then you need to slow down. Okay. I'm jamming through this because I've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down to Z here on ultimate upgrades, and we're not going to get through all of it. So using the phrasing, this is C, using the phrasing of what comes in your upgrade. So always use the phrasing. So here's what the next tool in your upgrade, the next thing that's coming in your upgrade, when you get your upgrade, here's what happens. Like most people that do the upgrade, they love it because of this. And just anytime you're using like the next tool in your set, the next tool in your upgrade, just like you do with your sets when you're building value with new customers. Okay. D, master the knives that you're good at. Can you get a head nod from everyone on every single piece? Or are you just letting it, are you just getting it half the time? See, you don't need more names and uses, but if you had them, then you'd sometimes use them sometimes. And that leads to more upgrades because you get them to the 5 pieces that they want. How do you upgrade people who have ultimate sets? Like I said that earlier, if they have an ultimate set, you're still doing the same order of importance, right? So I didn't say specifically you had to start with this or end with this, did I? I just was letting you know about logical pieces, cutting something, excitement. So if you have someone that has an ultimate upgrade, you're starting with the Santoku trimmer maybe, or they already have like all these other pieces, then you need to go to the brisket knife, you need to go to Santoku's, other tools that they don't have already, the gourmet paring knives. And how good are you at the names and uses of the gourmet paring knives? Maybe you upgraded them to an ultimate set and you didn't sell them the cleaver the previous year. So now how good are you at selling the cleaver? And like I said, you don't need a lot of names and uses. You can sell ultimate upgrades and you will sell ultimate upgrades if just knowing maybe half as many names and uses as I do or someone else on your team. But go field training, pay attention to the names and uses, the stories people use, because sometimes when I have to sell of a gourmet paring knives and all the Santoku pieces and stuff, I am talking about them in a way that I'm not normally talking about them with a client where that doesn't have a boning knife, that doesn't have a melon knife. Like I don't need to be as powerful in my cleaver sales if someone doesn't have a vegetable knife, and so, or a 4-inch paring knife. But when it comes time to nail those pieces, you better darn well be good at them. And if you're not going to get that head nod. Notice if people like, oh, okay, that makes sense. You can kind of stop. And that's the other half of this is you don't have to obliterate the uses on a boning knife if someone's sold on it already. Just move on. If you used all your uses on every single customer with all your knives, you're going to super overwhelm people and you're going to cover way too much information and they're not going to even understand, they're not going to remember half of it and what they're getting. They just simply need to know that that knife makes sense in their toolbox. They would use it. Okay, perfect. What's next? This one, that makes sense too. I use it. Perfect. What's next? Oh, I don't do meat. Okay. Okay, cool. It doesn't matter. Most people that don't do meat, they're vegetarian. They like this tool. Immediately pivot, right? Your goal is to get them to like 5 or 6 or 7 items. It doesn't matter what they are. And once you get them to like that certain number, then you can wrap it up, like I said, and focus on selling an upgrade and show them the price and then, sell it or drop down. Okay. So your uses, master the knives that you're good at and get better at everything else. So that's D. That's also E, is what are your weakest knives? I want you to identify what your weakest knives are. And you'll have to write it out. I mean, look at the price list and maybe print out a price list and circle, because they're already listed there. You don't have to write everything out that way. And maybe just circle the ones that you need help with, right? The petite Santoku or the petite slicer, the bagel knife. Maybe circle that. Maybe you need to work on that. Maybe you need to get some uses better at that tool. Okay, and you're more than welcome to watch. My videos don't have every use of every knife that I would pull out in a scenario where like I needed to with like a really tough customer, but there's a lot of uses there on YouTube there. So anyways, the next one, F, is always cut leather again. And you think that the customer, this is just another wow factor. It's just another thing to show them that there's a difference. Okay, so you can cut leather with a pocket knife and sell them as business gifts. You can cut leather with a hunting knife and sell hunting knives. You can cut leather to sell your upgrade by cutting with a Hardy slicer or a brisket knife. Whatever it is, it's just another wow factor. You think about with new customers, what we do, we cut a penny, a potato, leather. For some of you, you're not cutting potatoes anymore. So that's fine. But either way, you're still cutting things, right? And with past customers, you should be doing the same thing because it works. It creates that interest in the particular item that you're trying to sell. It's just one less item, one less names and uses you have to bust out or be good at in order to sell them on that particular knife that you're showing at the time. So it's just one more that's in your tool belt towards that 6 or 7 that you need to get them to be focused on the ultimate upgrade. And next is G, is excitement on your upgrade when you're finishing with your favorites. That ties in and leads. We talked about the enthusiasm selling knives, but the great thing is, and the reason why I'm giving you another why, the reason why we end with your excitement is because that excitement converts directly into what we talk about after we go over the individual pieces. So we end with our two favorites. That enthusiasm goes into the upgrade itself. Okay, so we're in an excited level. So when you start out the appointment, you're maybe mirroring them, you're maybe chill, how you doing? Great. And your goal is to build them into this excitement after you've made that connection. And so by ending with those two, okay, so that's the upgrade. If you're open to it, I can just kind of show you how it works real quick. It's a few things that make life a little bit easier, and it comes as a package, helps people to have the right tools to actually cut everything the right way. Is it cool if I just show you real quick? And that's going to really help you to transition with excitement. They say yes, and then you continue down the road with the close with that excitement as well. H is qualified before their approach, but after the approach, ask. So do you want to see how the upgrade works? I'm just reading this here. Ask how much upgrade costs before you know the value is there, and then close. Getting this sheet out, we'll check it out. Something to keep in mind. Okay, cool. So so if a customer asks you how much the ultimate upgrade costs before they know the value is there, then you simply say, okay, cool. You just want to delay until you can get the value to the point where it needs to be, and wrap it up, and then get the sheet out and show the sheet. So in order to do that, like if someone asks you like, how much is this one knife? Or how much is the upgrade? Or how much are all these pieces? It doesn't really matter. That it happens. Usually that happens when for a couple of reasons. One is you're either not going fast enough for this particular client, so you need to move your pace up. Two is you're not covering the right knife. Like let's say I cut the potato with a cheese knife or Santoku cheese knife, and you can just tell they're like really excited about it. And they're probably going to ask how much the knife is, because I've only went through a couple of knives. So I'll typically get out the bird's beak and immediately start cutting the potato slices with the bird's beak right then. And I'll start talking about the bird's beak, and they'll be immediately focused on the bird's beak, and they're gonna like that as well. And I have them cut with that. And then I say, and then for raw meats, this helps out a ton. And I get the raw meats knife out, show the video, and at this point they're like, oh my god, like these are all awesome. But if they had interrupted and said, how much is the cheese knife? And you say it's $99, like, okay, I want to get that one. And now their focus is on a price of $100. They know what one knife costs, and they're assuming they're all $100, which it's not true. Some of them are $150 and so on. And it's just not a good situation to be in for a package mentality. So you want to avoid it by saying, oh, I've got it. Let me get my calculator out. I've got to calculate that. It's on sale at the event here. Let me grab that real quick. Actually, just one other piece here, if it's okay. This one here is designed for XYZ, and then you just go right back into the approach, and it works nearly 99% of the time. Believe it or not, you might not believe it, but it does. So if they ask you how much the ultimate upgrade is, you say, oh, I've got to get the sheet out. Let me check it out. It's let me grab that here for you. By the way, there's a couple of things in the upgrade you don't even know about. Is it okay if I just show you my favorites real quick? And then you go over your favorites. So it's like people want to walk around and think about it, and you're like, yeah, sure, no problem. Oh, that's a good idea. Here, let me get this out so you can walk around and think about it, and you get your sheet out. Are you really going to let them walk around and think about it? Absolutely not. But by being the cool person, there is less resistance in regards to it. So that's why you don't say, oh, I'll tell you about that in a minute, or whatever else people are saying, and then the customer kind of is off put by it. So anyways, like I said, I've got to get the sheet out, or let me get my calculator out, or it's on sale at the event here. I'm going to calculate that for you. Those are 3 ways to do it, and then get back to the approach so you can get the value to the point that it needs to be, which is higher than the price, and you can close, right? And then I is package and price. So you have 9 knives in the ultimate upgrade if you're doing ultimate upgrades, and then there's more upgrades that are bigger than that as well. And then you maybe only went over 6 or 7, and maybe you went through all of them. Like, I mean, half the time I'm going through every single knife. So the upgrade comes with a specific price, and you're using the deal sheet just for legitimacy. So, and And when they are buying the ultimate upgrade, even if you've only won over like 7 items and you're showing the sheet, they're typically not like seeing that it comes with 9 things. In the end, you need to show them, hey, this is also coming your upgrade. You're also getting a bagel knife. You're also getting this. So if you choose, it's kind of probably confusing some of you guys here, but let me just make it clear. You don't need to go through every single knife in great detail to close an ultimate upgrade. If someone's a banker, you're going to have to do that, and you're going to have to go through other things as well. It's going to take longer. So choose your clients carefully and make sure you know how to tell who each person is based on their CVI, based on the way that they're acting and the things that they say, which you can learn as well. But if someone is not a banker, someone's a merchant, or especially if someone's a builder, it's more efficient just to get them to like at least having 5 or 6 or 7 things that they want, and then just, hey, there's a few other things that come in your upgrade to make life a little bit easier as well. It's a package deal, and then you're going into the wrap up of the upgrade, right? From there. So when you're showing the sheet though, it's going to have extra items on there, and then you can close the upgrade, and then you can talk about like, hey, by the way, you're also getting XYZ, you're also getting XYZ in there as well. And they're just going to be even more excited about it. Or they honestly don't really even care. They just want to have the package and the deal that's at the event that's coming with the package. Okay. And then if you want to, you can actually throw in extra things as well, like gadgets, and you can give them the steak knives instead of the table knives, whatever you want to do to make it so that they have a good deal and the appropriate price on there as well. And Jay, even if there's a piece that you don't like or wouldn't use, it would probably, this is a selling phrase. Even if there's a piece you don't like or wouldn't use, it probably cost as much or even more if you don't do the upgrade. So you can throw them out, give them to someone, whatever you want to do. It's a package deal. So this allows people to not really even care about what the other couple pieces are that are in there, because they understand that even if there was something that they wouldn't use, then it's going to be about the same price. And that happens by making sure that you're bonusing a couple of things as well on your order. So I don't use that every single time, but it's nice to have in your pocket, especially for the customer that came up wanting 1 or 2 knives. Okay, and then K here is flatware cookware can be used for price positioning before closing. So I don't always do this, but you can use the upgrade as a drop down. So a lot of people say no to the first option just because they feel like they're compulsive buyers, or they feel like they don't want to get the biggest thing or whatever it is. So if you're showing the ultimate upgrade and then you combine it with like a flatware set or a cookware set and just show them the price real quick of that, go over the flatware, the cookware, give like a brief 30-second demo on them. Or maybe you went through the whole thing and your focus is on closing a Cutco kitchen, and you've done great presentations on those things, as good as you can do on the knives. And then you're just dropping down and it's price positioning you for the upgrade. Or maybe you're going through the fan set and just showing the sheet. Even if you just show this sheet, the fan set, okay, even if you just show it and be like, this is crazy. This is like an insane set. I mean, there's no reason why you'd want to own this, I don't think. As you can see, it's $6,400 for that upgrade. Do you mind if I just skip it for today? Get a yes every single time right before you close. You just price positioned the $6,000 set and said it was crazy, and you agreed with them and they agree with you and you're on the same page. So even if you have no skill whatsoever in selling fan sets or don't really know what it is or whatever, just put that sheet in with your other sheets and pull it out and show it, and then be like, yeah, let's go to the starter upgrade. And then you just go right to the starter upgrade, which is the $1,800 one, and you've price positioned right there. So K is price positioning. You're not comparing to other knife upgrades from other companies. You're simply comparing to what they could buy in Cutco. And they could honestly buy almost $20,000 worth of stuff if they have a couple of kids, more than that. So why would we start with $1,800? Like why would you let them think that's the biggest thing they could buy, and allow them to not buy it because they feel like they need to be conservative? Let them be conservative in buying an ultimate upgrade. show them something, whether it's a package with the flatware, the cookware, or more knives, and then show them the price of the ultimate upgrade. Okay. L is when you do that, you do the price. When you're at the booth, this is important because if you want to get them something like make them feel good about having a good deal. And let's say you're not sure if this customer is going to buy the upgrade or not. Then you want to actually give them a little extra firepower to be excited to buy. So what I'll do is I'll use a couple of gadgets for this. And I used to just say, hey, if you could get a couple of gadgets for free, what would you want here? What would be the ones you'd like the most? And a percentage of customers, and it's funny because like everything I do, my focus is not just doing things that work. Because there's a lot of things that work, like sometimes, like 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10. It's funny because people do it and then they're like, oh, sweet, this is what I'm going to do because it works. Like I want to do stuff that works 9 out of 10 times. And that's where a lot of reps get confused and about a lot of things that they learn in the business, actually. But anyways, instead of doing that, I was like, this is annoying because people would just stare at them, or they would like look back at the sheet and ignore what I had said, or they would just not do anything. I was not getting, it was like annoying. Then I'd get an objection and then I'm trying to handle something else and close before I'm like ready to actually close. I'm still in the process here. So instead I just started grabbing all the gadgets in my hand and shoving them in front of them. And I would say, yeah, what would you use the most out of these two? If you just had to pick a couple. And they immediately look down and they'd be like, yeah, like it doesn't matter. Like just what would you use? The peeler and the scoop. And instead of selling them on all the different gadgets and then letting them pick which one they wanted, which took a lot of time. And then it was like, by the time I was 5 minutes of been doing that, like the whole concept of the upgrade, what we just went over, the feeling that they would use it, the information they got on the video about how it's 10 times easier to use the boning knife, like the feeling of the potato, like all this stuff kind of like dissipated a little bit because there's just so much information covering gadgets or something else that they'd want for free, a hunting package or whatever. So instead I was just like, here, just pick out 2 things you would use. They tell me the 2 they would use. I put everything else away, focus on those 2 and actually sell them on the 2. Like you do ice cube or peel the carrot. Like it takes a fraction of the time I was taking before that. And then they would really want them. And then boom, I'm giving those for free now. And they're excited about them. And it's just another reason to buy. So you're just stacking the reasons for them to buy. Like I want a bunch of these knives. I'm getting something for free. I'm getting a deal. I'm going to use them. It's going to come with videos, and you're welcome to just use my videos. Be like, I'll send you the link to all the videos on YouTube that Jason Jeffries made on how to use every single piece. So you never have to worry about what to use the knives for. Because that, in a lot of people's minds, an objection is, I don't know what to use all the knives for. How am I going to use all these knives? And you're just stacking everything up so that it's just an easy transition for them to say yes. Okay, so that is just L is just giving them another reason to say yes, and that's the gadgets. So a couple of gadgets, again, to get them to pick them, you hold them out in front of them and they choose the 2 that they would use, not the 2 that they want. And if they're not responding, then you can go to the cutting boards, you can go to the sharpening tool, you can go to other things, right? One of the kitchen tool items. The goal is just trying to get something they would use quickly, sell them on it, and then move back into closing. Okay. So then closing tips. M is when you're adding the gadgets, make sure you're not explaining each one in super detail. That's what I just kind of went over actually. Confused people do not make good decisions. Keep it simple, stick and move. N is slice and serves. Yep, slice and serves, outdoor stuff. It could be really anything. If you get the guy excited about a K-bar, you get him excited about a hunting knife. This is the point in the presentation where you're just trying to create that final stack and get something that they want. Okay. And LMN. Okay, couldn't find a gadget. Ask if if you can't find something that they want in that aspect, then ask if they'd rather have a bigger discount. They always say yes. So rather than lingering and spending all day trying to find something that they want, just ask if they'd rather have a bigger discount, and they say yes, and that alleviates that only happens like 15% of the time or something like that, but maybe less. but it's just another way to close another upgrade, right? And then you just take $100 off. Okay, it's simple. And so it's a couple of times a month. Okay, so payments. All we really need is blank. So the 350 or whatever it is that you're closing on with your upgrade package that you have the deal sheet for. So it's like a couple knives a month is what we're looking at here, like cost wise. And we used to have people that would just buy like a couple knives a month and they would add on to their collection. Cutco loves those customers because they end up spending the most in the long run. And so now we just do this upgrade. We just package it, split it up over 5 pay. They don't even give you a bill. And I love saying that because it's like, and we can talk about payments all day here, not all day, but maybe like, I don't know, an hour. But like payments, I mean, the big thing here when you're covering this with clients is you've got to understand you don't know who is going to say to you, I don't do payments. I don't like payments. Or we pay for everything in full. Or if we were to do it, we'd pay in full. But deep down, do they really want to spend $2,000 cash right now on knives? Is the question. Like people are, but they're way more comfortable spending less than $400 on it. So if you can sell people on payments and you can make every person, and maybe you didn't need to, maybe they were the person that, oh yeah, you do payments, great, let's do it. But how are you going to know that until you start talking about it? And then they say to you what it is that they believe about it and their thoughts are on the matter during the day. And you can't just come out and say to the person like, hey, are you cool doing payments on stuff? And then they say no, and now what are you going to do? So you just kind of have to sell, not everybody, but almost everybody on payments every time. And so get good at that because then you're able to close a lot more upgrades to customers that would not have done it otherwise. Okay. And so if they're iffy about the block, just do trays. You don't need to make it a big deal and try and sell them on force. It's about a flow, an easy flow here. So what if they don't want the trays? Just do both. If they don't know, they're like, I don't really know if I want a block or trays. Just give them both. Who cares? And if they don't want either, you're like, okay, the important thing is that you have the right knives to cut everything the right way. So let's go ahead and just see what the upgrade is without the storage, because it sounds like you have your own storage, right? Great, cool, boom. And then just do that. Don't let the block or trays or storage or anything, don't let anything slow you down. Just pivot and move and make it easy for the customer to say yes. Okay. Because I see a lot of people get stuck up on that, on numerous things here. Q is, and you're welcome to cut me off here if you like. So I don't know what you guys have in your agenda here today. It's 9:45 my time right now.
Yeah, you're good, Jason. This is all great. I'm getting a lot of notes. Yeah, I'm sure everyone else is too. So yeah, you can keep going if you have time.
Sure. And if anyone's interested in in mentoring or anything like that, I do have openings for applications for 2023. I only start in January every year. You're welcome to send me a message and I can send you a survey. You can fill that out and then we can see if it would make sense. And we can talk more about all these things during that program and so on. I'll put my number in the chat at some point here. So people saying that they don't use half their knives that they own right now. Okay, so this one is actually a mentality that needs to be converted for a number of people for even closing like bigger sets with new customers and stuff. When it comes to ultimate upgrades, when someone's like, I don't even use half my knives right now, like I don't like that's perfect, Ms. Jones. No, almost nobody does. Pull out some of the knives in the homemaker set and say, pretty much nobody carves every day, right? Yeah, and you're probably not butchering pigs and chickens every day either, are you? Like the butcher knife? And you probably don't need 2 forks, right? So that's why we made the upgrade. That's actually why we made the upgrade, because people were missing the things that they needed to cut things the right way. Sometimes it's a smokescreen objection though, and they're really just a budget issue. But it is a legitimate percentage of people that have the thought that they're not going to use all the pieces. And so by covering it like this and showing them that, like, you're right, I agree with you. And that set is 70 years old and we haven't modified it in 70 years. And all these pieces people wrote in and requested that we make, or a lot of the pieces people wrote in and requested that we make. And so we did, because it makes it so much easier to cut things the right way. So although you don't need them, you're actually probably going to use them more than a lot of the pieces you have right now. And actually, Miss Jones, if you look at the knives from here to here, like the 4-inch paring knife, the Petite Santoku, the raw meats knife, you know, the soft foods knife with the holes in it, like look at how the size of these knives, the ones that you're using in your set right now are what, like your trimmer, your paring knife, your petite carver, like you know, just these like more like utilitarian, smaller, like everyday knives. That's like what most of the upgrade is. It's mostly tools that are that size that people grab constantly and are using all the time. So if you like what you have now and you're using, because you probably use this trimmer most of the time, right? Oh yeah, we love that one, right? And you're just kind of guiding them down the pathway of understanding. And if it was truly their objection, then they'll be more receptive at that point. But notice if they're resisting the logic and the obvious truth of the matter, then there's a deeper objection that you need to kind of search for and get that to surface so that you can close, right? All right. So, and then you can also talk about customizing the set there as well. It's another thing you can do. So, customizing, if you customize the right way, especially with new customers and certain, you can close so many people on sets. And with past customers, it works really well too. And I'm talking about people that just want to buy like a few items, not like people who are looking for a set already or an upgrade already. Like the customization is one of the ways to close those people. And so you just take out things they wouldn't use, put things that they would use in, and then ask them, is there anything you would not use? And until they say no, and that means they would use them all. So what objection do they have left at that point besides price? They'd use all the knives. Why would they not buy it? So it's a key question there. I'm going to PQR customizations, what they wouldn't use. That's actually what I just went over here. It's definitely an easy way to close. So the logic can be of value to the customers, and it's also a way for that to feel special to the customer, and they feel like it's another reason they have to get it there versus later. Like it's a legitimate way for you to say you can't just go ahead and customize online. Like you can't you just pick what you want. You're gonna pay full price. You're gonna pay more, and that's where you're breaking up sets like homemaker signatures, ultimates, and stuff that becomes a legitimate thing as well. And if you're bonusing items and reducing the price for them on the ultimate upgrade, it becomes legitimate as well. Next is if you're customizing, removing the cleaver and the petite slicer are easy to do. They just make sense. So it's, you want to again do things that make sense so that the majority of the time it works, not just sometimes. Okay, I'm not talking about stuff that needs to be done in order to close an ultimate upgrade. I'm talking about stuff that you can do that closes. If you do all of the things, you'll close a lot of ultimate upgrades, a lot more. So they're just easy to remove that makes sense. If you start trying to remove other things, you might run into resistance, and then it might delay and can start get confusing. Just try to keep it simple and just customize a couple things out, put a couple things in, and then say that phrase on whatever letter it is where it's, and even if there was a couple of things you wouldn't use, it'd still be about the same, maybe cost more to not get the package. So that's why we package as a deal. And so you could throw them out, give them to someone if you wanted to. But since we customized it, I think you'd use most of those other ones there as well. I think it just kind of makes sense. I just show you real quick what it costs. So by combining the customizing of a couple pieces and combining even if there was a couple other ones you wouldn't use, so you're removing, and if you know what they don't want, just remove those instead of the petite slicer or the cleaver, obviously, right? But by removing a couple things they don't want or a couple things that make sense to be removed, and then saying that phrase, even if there was a couple other ones you wouldn't use, it still makes sense to get the upgrade because of blah, blah, blah. You've really kind of handled that objection in a very powerful way about not using them all or anything like that. So let's see, all your stuff's going to fit, all the new things, the new block. You're just going to keep the knives. This is like a summary here. So all your stuff is going to fit. All the new things are going to fit. You have a new place to store your knives. If you want to say block, you can. You have a new block to keep, keeps all the knives in. The new stuff you're going to be using even more, and it comes with those couple of gadgets that you like for free as well. So if you can budget it today, it just kind of makes sense. I know this is being recorded, so that's why I'm not stopping a lot of things here. U is closing phrase. I had back-to-back ultimate upgrades in 30 minutes. Both people said they want to walk around, think about it at the show. And I did this and they bought. So because of my contest, just go into because of my contest or because of my scholarship or because of this whatever it is that's going on in your life that you want to mention. And you always have a contest in Cutco. That's either the rep trip right now. You should have that sheet. You should go print that sheet out and have it printed out because we show the sheets to show legitimacy. So hold the sheet out or go to your blue book and say, because of this contest right now to win this trip to Aruba, if I just sweeten the deal a little bit more, I know you're probably right on the fence, but if I sweeten the deal a little bit more and give you a super crazy, ridiculous deal, or could I just tempt you real quick? So you've already given a couple things for free. They already know it's a deal. They already know, they can do it in 5Pay, that you built the stack up. You're just doing one final thing here. And people will ask you if you don't use the reason though, like, why wouldn't you just do this in the first place? Use the contest as a reason, like, because of my contest, I can do one final thing. And that creates urgency because they don't know you're always in a contest. All they know is that, for all they know, if you're not going to spend time going into like what the trip is and how you qualify for it and like what the dates of the trip are and all that stuff. I mean, you don't need to do that. For all they know, your trip is in a month or two or whatever. And it doesn't really matter. Like the point is, like, I have this contest going on right now. It looks like you're open to maybe getting this and you're right on the fence. Could I just show you a crazy deal and maybe put you over the edge? Just another way to phrase it. And then all you're doing is just grabbing out either a peeler. You can get infinite. If you don't have peelers, you're either don't know about the deal or you're being lazy. I'll be honest with you, because your manager can get you infinite peelers for like $6 a piece or something. And so I order them at 100 at a time. And then I just always have them with me because even if people have a peeler, they always could use another one. And if you have carrots with you and you peel the carrot back and forth and you have them peel the carrot, I can't tell you how many sets I've sold just because people were like, they put them over the top and it was the final thing. And they wouldn't have maybe done it if they didn't actually peel the carrot. That's why having food, you can be lazy and not have food, or you could spend like $4 and get food and bring it with you and use it to close sets. And do you need it for every set? No, you don't. But can I tell you that there's certain, can you honestly say that there's certain sets you will close because you cut that potato, you cut that carrot? Absolutely. It is a thing that will help you. I'm not, like I said, interested in closing sets with 40% of people. I want to close every 90% of people on sets that I see. If someone can afford it and they're there at the booth with me, I'm closing them on a set. And I'm using all these different tools to get there if I need to. So anyways, you should go order 50 or 100 peelers, have them with you, or use something from the mall display, like a trimmer or a paring knife, like an extra, just something that you can give to them right there. And so you'll be able to get that coming up here in a few months. So you should be saving a little bit for that so you can get as many extra promo pieces from the mall display program and working kiosks as you possibly can. Okay, so you have them throughout the year as well. So that one, in summary, is contest. Could I tempt you? Yes, I'll give you this for free. It looks like you're right on the fence. Let's just go ahead and do it. You can also say, I've written in here, you can't just change the price of Cutco. The company like sets what each thing costs, but because I have these here and they're mine, I sometimes win them in contests. I just have extra items. I can just give them to you. I can physically give them to you, which makes sense to the customer at the time. And that means that I don't have to change the price, but I can actually give you something because it's physically mine. It could even be a sample knife. You can get sample knives as well. Ask your coordinator or manager how to get sample knives. I typically always have those with me as well. And sometimes it's like they just don't want the peeler. They already have 2 peelers, or whatever, and they don't want anything else that I have. And I pull out the sample knife, and it's the thing that saves the day. And I close a $2,000 order on a sample knife. So you really just want to have be super organized before your events, have everything you need, and be going for the ultimate upgrades. The more you think about how the fact that you're just gonna change right now, you're gonna sell ultimate upgrades. You made the decision. I'm selling ultimate upgrades, or not ultimate upgrades. I'm selling upgrades to customers. You got to change the verbiage here. as we teach this now. So because it could be any upgrade, it could be a $3,000 upgrade of knives, and you just get into the mode that that's what you do, and then your mind will automatically start linking each of these things, and the thoughts that you have will bring you to a place where you're doing the right things on a consistent basis. Print your notes out, review this talk over and over and over again, write things out and have it with you at the booth. Look it over before the day before the show. Make sure you have everything in order. You know, and to the degree that you listen to what I'm saying, because again, I don't have hours to go into the whys, is the degree you will see your success scale. So some of you are going to get potatoes, and your people you're working with will be like, "What are you doing with potatoes?" And you're just like, "Oh, you'll see," or "Oh, just because, just trying something out." And you know, who cares what people say? I'm telling you what works. Be on their side is V. Be on their side, on their wavelength, and build trust and keep control. So if they're negative about the concept, and the body language dictates they've lost interest when the price comes up or something, get on their side and drop down with them. So when I'm covering a fan set and I'm showing that as which I do every single time as my first thing I'm showing, whether I'm going to like actually try to sell them on, or I'm going to portray it as a crazy thing, I'm noticing their body language so that I can immediately be like, if they're like taking a step back, or they're like shaking their head, or they're like, "Oh my God," like what I'm saying immediately before they can even object is, "Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's a lot of knives, is it?" And most people didn't come here today to spend $6,500. I don't know if you have an extra $6,500 to spend on knives today. Oh no, definitely not. Yeah. Do you mind if I just skip to a smaller upgrade for you so I can show you? And if you're showing them like the flatware with the knives, then it's like, "Oh yeah, I don't know. I didn't know if you wanted the flatware. I was just letting you know there's a package deal. Do you think we should probably just take the flatware off for now?" But am I doing that every time? No. If someone's like looking at the sheet, they pick it up and they're staring at it, and they're like, "You look like they're gonna ask a question." I'd be like, "Yeah, do you have any questions? I can kind of show you what's coming with that real quick." The next thing you know, I'm showing someone what's in the whole fan set, or not all of it, but what's necessary to close it. And then they're buying a $6,000 option, or the flatware with the knives. So if you just pay attention to their body language and be on their side for whatever side it is, whether it's the side of potentially being open to buying that or wanting to go down that road, or the side of like, "Why am I even looking at flatware? Why am I even looking at $6,000 knife upgrade?" Like, then you take control, keep control, versus them asking, "Well, how much is this knife? Well, can I just get this one?" And it's not that they're asking you how much that one knife is. They just simply don't know there's an option between what you're showing them and the knife, because they don't know all of the deals. They have no idea. They've never even been in this situation before. They're just trying to buy something. And so they're not saying no to an ultimate upgrade of $1,800. They're simply saying no to whatever you're showing them. And so you need to let them know, like, "Oh, by the way, there's a lot smaller option than this, or there's something else you can get I think would make way more sense." And you could totally just buy one knife if you want to. I could show you what that is. Do you mind if I just show you both real quick? Just so you at least know. Cool. And again, you shouldn't even have them asking that, because what the one knife is, because you should already be on their side and controlling the situation. So be on their side is V. Notice, in order to do that, you really have to pay attention to the body language and what they're saying, or what you think they're going to say right then. W is builder upgrade, which it's like been an hour here, so you can ask your manager about the builder upgrade and how to close those. It's just a drop down from the ultimate set. And then XYZ here. If they say no on the builder upgrade, you can use a gourmet block instead. And you can also drop the price point to like 800 that way. And then go to the 5-piece from there. And then Y is upsell, just upselling stuff with ultimate upgrades. And so I'm just gonna go to Z here though. Change your belief about upgrades. To wrap this up, regardless of who the person is, if you made the decision to sell more Cutco, the upgrade is the key to their openness to buying more Cutco in general. It's the key to builder upgrades. It's the key to 5-piece sales, the key to moving into cookware. If you have a client that's not interested in buying more Cutco, and you're at a service call with them and doing a presentation, or they're at a service event, or they're at the show, and they're not open to buying Cutco, the key is the ultimate upgrade approach. What I've just told you. Why? Think about it. They don't know what they don't know, first of all, but why is it the key? The key is, this makes sense. This makes sense. Look, and feel this, because this is different. You're physically and mentally changing their mindset to the fact that there are things that work differently. There are things that make sense that they don't own. So let's take a minute to consider this here. And by the way, these are my favorites, and this comes as a package. Can I show you? You see how that now person who wasn't even interested and would have been very difficult to sell them cookware is now of the mindset of, wow, there is Cutco that I want. There are things that I'm interested in. Okay, and now what else have you got? From not interested at all to what else have you got? We have cookware. Boom. Next thing you know, you're closing them on a Cutco kitchen, and so it's all linked together. So feel good about them, let them come to your world, make them a focus, make them a priority, and a push that you go after with nearly every customer. Realize it's the best for the customer to park their knives in a block or trays and have the most used pieces that we make. Okay. If they bought a homemaker set, then it makes absolutely no sense that they would not buy all the ultimate upgrade pieces. These are better than the homemaker pieces. I mean, not all the homemaker pieces, but like overall, I'd rather have if I had to just have only certain knives, I'd rather just take an ultimate upgrade, the 9 pieces there, than the homemaker pieces. So, and every customer, if you can transfer this belief into them, they will understand it as well. See your upgrades triple this year. I've had mentees that weren't doing any upgrades, and then every weekend now they're upgrading clients. And I see here everybody increasing their average order dramatically, for this fall. So I hope you guys go into this fall having your best fall ever. And dramatically, not just in the knives and the whole gamut, but utilizing the A to Z's of upgrades. I see some people will step up and memorize these things. Some people will hear this message and they'll never look at it again, but bring these things with you. And if you want more, I love helping people. I love being here. This is probably one of more fun things of my day here. And I'll put my phone number here, and you guys can text me if you want, further to work together in some way, shape or capacity. I do not have any openings right now, but I do have openings again in the at the beginning of each year, and that is this next year here. So that is pretty much it for today. I don't know if we have time for questions, but
Appreciate it, Jason. Sorry if you guys can hear the music in the background here. We're at a service event and we got pushed out of the room because the customer came early for Kev. But anyway, does anyone have any questions for Jason? If you have time for questions, we can definitely take a few questions if anyone's got any questions.
yeah, my flight doesn't leave for a little bit, so go ahead.
Awesome. Who's got a question for Jason? I know I have a question. So my weakest knives are Santoku 8-inch carver and a gourmet prep knife. So I'm curious what your names and uses are for those two.
Yeah. So that would be, it depends on how you're covering the longer carver, but I would just cover it like, so basically we have a couple different brisket knives for a couple different sizes of meats, and I would cut leather with it. Nick, that's the easiest way to sell that knife if someone already has another one. And cutting leather with it, and then going over the fact that you want to have the right size for when you're cutting different things. And we use this one more of like an everyday tool as well as just a brisket knife. So some people buy knives, Miss Jones, that they just use once in a while. I know you already have the brisket knife, and that's great. But the trimmer utility knife, the petit carver, like this is kind of like your petit carver in the sense that it's more of like a knife you're going to use actually versus just once in a while. And then you can still cut meats with it also as well. So it doubles as two things. And if you're ever cooking with someone else occasionally in the kitchen, it's just nice to have an extra one. I mean, think about it. How many hammers do you have in your garage? Probably like 2, 3, 4, like it's makes more sense to have more knives than it does to have tools in the garage that we only use once a month. So that's why people get this, and they just want to be complete and I'm just giving you a lot of examples of things I would say in general for, like, let's say it was paring knives, it was a topic, whatever, like, it's good for people to be complete and have everything that we make so that they have all the right tools when they do need them, or when one's dirty, they can use another one. If there's, sometimes people have a kitchen downstairs, upstairs, and they want to put a couple pieces there. Some of these things in the upgrade, because it comes as a package again, they're just great to be used as gifts. So you can always give a couple of them to someone so they, at least they have one good brisket knife, that type of thing. So I wouldn't necessarily go into all those things, Nick. I'm just kind of looking for that head nod, and then I'll save the other uses for something else, right? Like the gourmet prep knife. And I'll save some of those things I was saying for that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I saw the Santoku slicer, the 10-inch one, like crazy as a brisket knife. But yeah, the 8-inch one I hardly sell any. So appreciate that, man.
And neither do I, because, you know, to be honest, we don't really need to very often, right? But then it comes to that client who's got the whole ultimate set already. And then usually it's someone who's already, you need to sell a petite, like a brisket knife, is someone who already has more than an ultimate set, and you're trying to upgrade them to a fan set. So that's a good question, because that's someone who already has like 5 knives beyond the ultimate probably. And you're just looking at throwing a Siggy block on top of their ultimate and filling that in with stuff at that point. Or an ultimate on the ultimate. Doesn't take any extra space. It's super convenient. And I honestly didn't think I needed more than 2 spatulas. And I thought it was crazy until I threw the Siggy block on my ultimate and started filling in with what I ideally would want. And I realized I was using like half the stuff in there or more. And I still run out of spatula spreaders. I have 5 of the things. I run out of them. Why would you not? Like I said, it's like the hammer thing. Why would you not have them? So start converting your mindset, because you're not serving your customers by having a scarcity mindset in regards to what they could do, and you need to enable them to make them happy and increase your average order dramatically.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Anyone else have any other questions?
I got a question.
Go ahead, Tuck.
I was gonna say so I know you didn't cover this, but for fan set upgrades, are you keeping the 5 duplicates the same every time, or are you kind of giving them choice over the duplicates?
I don't think people really know what you're necessarily talking about, Tuck, but so I mean, we can cover that. But I'll just tell you right now, I guess I'm usually keeping it the same, but I'm letting them choose if it's a question of like they want to know what they are, and I'm going over them. Okay. So half the time when you're selling the fan set or the upgrade, it's like they don't really know what they're getting. They're just getting it and as a package and trusting you. And then you're kind of like crafting it and putting it together, and then you're letting them know what they're getting, you know, at the end, so that they're aware, like, hey, you're getting a duplicate one of these, an extra one of these, and then sometimes, Matt, what I'll do there is I'll be like, by the way, do you think you'd use more of an extra one of these or one of these? I'll let them choose. I'll ask them, what's your favorite knife? And they'll tell me, and I'll be like, okay, cool. We should definitely put another one of those in there. What's the thing that's always dirty? What are you using the most? These are good questions to get firepower to understand what you can make the duplicates as well. Hopefully that helps you out.
Thank you.
Awesome. Jamie, I think you had a question.
Yeah, my question is, if you could just clarify exactly how and when you use the potato. I wasn't really sure if it was every customer or when they're just on the fence, or exactly
How you use what?
the potato.
The potato, yes. The potato is converting those people, and sometimes you don't know who they are, that they think like this, or sometimes it is obvious that they think like this. It's converting people that think that they don't need any more knives because they already have all the Cutco they need. So those people are very difficult to convert. You can use the boning knife video and show them, but when they actually feel that it's 5 times easier to cut the potato versus with you're using a Cutco knife. They're using, like, I get the trimmer out oftentimes. If it's a Santoku cheese knife, I use a table knife. You'll see why if you do it. But anyways, they're literally cutting with their favorite knife or something they have that they use all the time, the table knives. And then they cut with the cheese one, and it just blows them away, and it totally opens their mind to the fact that the other things you talk about after that could also have that type of difference and impact, and changes people's mindset in regards to buying more knives in a way that you can do without it sometimes, but not without it other times.
Okay, thanks. And then the
Kevin, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, do you feel that, like, say if we for some reason don't have potatoes, do you feel that cutting leather with a trimmer and then with a cheese knife
By
works
the way, good
sometimes?
song. Check out Classified. It ain't over, I think is what it is. It's a Canadian that did a remix on that. I was in like, this is like 15 years ago, and I was a long time ago in college and stuff. It's a good song. But if you don't have potatoes, what?
Oh, do you think it works to cut leather with just cut leather with the cheese knife, or cut leather with the trimmer first and then the cheese knife? Do you think that helps, or would you just stick to potatoes?
Yeah, I think I don't think that would necessarily help. You can just cut leather with one of the pieces, but that's more so just selling that one piece. It's not converting their mindset. And if you're cutting side by side leather with two double the edges, they're going to cut the same unless you intentionally dulled one of them. So it's not really relevant. Take a brand new trimmer and a brand new cheese knife, and the cheese knife is going to cut 3 times easier on the potato. So
Okay.
you want bigger potatoes to get that effect, or else you won't. It's not as noticeable. And also your cutting board gets all crappy as well if you use russet potatoes. So I just get gold potatoes or red potatoes. Sure, it's an extra step. Sure, it's annoying. Sure, you have to go to the store, but you probably should be going to the store anyways to buy salad, to buy water, to buy, apple and almond butter, stuff that you can eat at the show that's gonna give you energy, that's gonna make you better and close more orders. So ultimately, it only takes a matter of minutes, or your assistant's getting all that stuff for you anyways, if you're being efficient with that.
Awesome. I think we have time for one more question if anyone's got one.
Yeah, Jason, sell me on the cleaver.
All right, is it JD?
He goes by
That's it? Okay, cool. So yeah, this is the barbecue cleaver. We use it to crack ribs, tenderize meats, go through frozen stuff. My dad calls it the rock and roll knife because you just whack and you can just, and I have my other hand, rock and roll through pretty much anything. And we don't use it every day. It's like a spare tire. When we need a spare tire, we kind of have it, right? And that's when we need it. It protects all the knives in the set. And if I need to cut through like a coconut, go through something frozen, so even separating squashes, especially if they have the Hardy slicer already, I'm kind of talking about from that perspective, because it does work well to separate that. Anytime I think my knife might break, that's the one I want to use. So it actually protects all the knives in the entire set as well. And honestly, anyone that's barbecuing or grilling out or does meats should have a cleaver in their set. It's just something that, again, we use more than half the tools in the garage. We're going to want to have it in our set for our kitchen when we're using it on our foods.
Okay, I got one more. Sell me on the Santoku paring knife.
Santoku paring knife. Yeah, so we found that the paring knife tends to dull. Wish I had my pocket knife on me, but I'm flying. I had two of them taken from me when I was flying to Tahoe for a bachelor party with Hal Elrod last week. Dang things. And I ended up getting through security without a boarding pass. Frontier, if you ever fly Frontier, which is the only time that I could do. I've never fly normally, but the only time I could get to the bachelor party on time that morning from Michigan, you have to, even an hour and 30 minutes early, you can't check your bag. You had to be more than an hour. I was an hour and 45 minutes early to check my bag, which was crazy. And so I got through security, but they did detect the pocket knives. So anyways, let me just do it this way, or you can't even see. So I'll just tell you how to imagine it. Just imagine the paring knife hitting the cutting board, and you'll see that there's that gap right there, right? So it doesn't get damaged. So I take out the paring knife that they have. I'm like, this is one of the most damaged pieces in Cutco, the quickest of all of them, because the front part touches the cutting board and gets worn out. And you'll see this logic. I like a lot of customers get the head nods. That's what you want. So get the paring knife out, put it on the cutting board, and show them that the front part is hitting the cutting board, that little section on the front where it curves. And then get out the Santoku paring knife and show them, okay, so you notice this one doesn't do that, and use your other finger to get underneath there and show them there's a gap, and make sure they know what you're talking about, because that's it. That's basically almost all you need to do to sell that knife, because then you just talk about, there's other things that I do sometimes that you need it as well. So I'll go through everything, but that keeps it protected so it doesn't get damaged. It's one of the most durable knives that we make. If you look at it, it's twice as wide and twice as thick as the paring knife. See? I'm holding both knives. So you can see it's twice as wide and twice as thick as a paring knife. So the width of it, and I use this to sell gourmet paring knives, helps to separate through things in the air, because you can push through and it separates things apart easier. So you can peel a pear, core a pit, apples, carrots, potatoes, those types of things a lot easier when you're using like a wider knife that's like this. And it's got the other ones have full hollow grinds, but so I don't talk about that with the Santoku paring knife. But those are the things that will close it. You probably only usually need half of that to get the head nod. All right, guys, it's fun hanging out today. I hope you all have an epic fall, and I hope you guys are really pushing yourself to focus on upgrades. It's really the way to serve your clients, and you gotta get them and get that mentality going and start doing it this weekend here.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Jason. I have an absolute abundance of notes from your talk. Thanks for going all the way to Z for us, and really appreciate your time. You're flying out right now. Is that what you're flying somewhere?
Yeah, I'm going to Florida for a couple of days. I'll be back.
Awesome. Well, safe travels, and really appreciate your time here today.
Traveling's pretty much done. I travel all summer, but this is the first time I've been home this early. I'll be getting back to work on some other companies and stuff like that. So you guys have an awesome day too. Take care.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Jason.
Awesome. So yeah, that was absolute fire. So hope you guys learned a lot from that. I know I definitely did. Definitely have some nuggets. I never thought about using a stall close, like to just keep the upgrade going. Cause there's always that customer that interrupts you like, oh, how much is just this one knife? It's like, oh, let me grab that for you. Oh yeah. Can I show you the rest of my favorites? And it's like, just keep, going along and, get through the upgrade. So yeah, hopefully you guys got a lot from that. The only other thing that I have for today, today's going to be a shorter call, just because I know many of you are, at events, or you have an event coming up here in the next couple of days, or some of you are at a service event with me or at a different service event. But just wanted to share, hot news. So state fairs are, we've got 4 out of the 7, I think we have 7 done. So far we've done Wisconsin, grew by about $75,000. We finished at $345,000. So super exciting. Illinois had its best state fair ever, sold an extra 12 grand on top of the best that it's ever done. Most it's ever done was 30K this year, finished around 42. That's what we have on Rollo right now. Might be more than that. Missouri State Fair, best that it's ever done is 84,000. The team finished over 116,000. And then the UP State Fair, I think you guys finished at 27. Is that right, Seth?
Yeah, we're 2,000 higher than last year.
Okay, cool. And yeah, so, broke it by a couple grand, which is awesome. So yeah, super exciting. We're over 700K for August already. And we still have this week left. We still have our Idaho fairs. We've got, Spokane, fair coming up. I know Jake, you're going to be working a couple days of that. And then we've also got, some more big events coming up. So, finish the campaign off strong. I'll be sticking around if you guys have any other questions for me. But that is what we have for you today. Appreciate you guys jumping on. And like I said, if you need anything, feel free to stick on and I can answer any questions.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you.